Greetings. This is San Francisco 1999, and I'm Neil Cavan. I'm an artist and a performer, and I was there on the San Francisco Bay Area scene during the last days before smartphones and social media. And I host conversations here with guests who recollect what life was like back in the before times. The folks who are sharing their stories each week in conversation were then, and still are, vibrant contributors and participants in the co-creation of San Francisco Bay Area arts and culture. The majority of the esteemed guests are folks that I know from that time and or had the pleasure of working with back then, perhaps are still my colleagues now, many of whom I have the honor of considering my good friends to this very day. You can join the conversation by leaving a question or a comment at sanfran99.com. Yes, it is Friday, November 21st, 2025, and it's Friday night. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. I had the honor of having a conversation yesterday with Sep Gadisha, otherwise known as DJ Sep, of the legendary weekly function that ran in San Francisco at the Elbo Room for over 2 decades, none other than Dub Mission. DJ Sep also had a long-time radio show on KPFA, and before that, in the 90s, she had one on KUSF. So here we go. Here comes a conversation about all of that stuff. Thank you again for being here. Sep, it is so good to get to talk to you. It's been a while, and it's great to hear your voice. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to talk to you.
Where were you located that you ended up in San Francisco?
Well, I grew up in the Bay Area. I was born in Tehran, and my family moved to the United States shortly after the revolution, so in 1979. So I was quite young. We settled in South San Francisco, South City, and then Daly City. And I went to San Francisco State. I studied journalism because I was interested in writing and trying to figure out how I would do that professionally, and was really interested in the arts, had a minor in art history, and was always interested in music. So I decided that was the way that I was going to try to move in the world. And one of the people that I was in the program with was doing a show on KUSF, which is University of San Francisco, so that's a different university. And I went to visit her with another friend from the journalism program, and we were talking afterwards, and she recommended that I do that as well. She said, "Oh, you like music," and I said, "Oh no, I can't do that." Long story short, I started doing radio show there. I did the overnight on KUSF from 2 to 6 a.m.
Whoa.
Volunteered first, then finally got a slot, and that's where people started. I would do that and come home and sit on the couch for a bit and then go to work. I also did the 11 to 2 or whatever that slot was, and then eventually I moved to the Friday afternoon.
KUSF has come up as a very important radio station in San Francisco during that time.
Well, I would say that KUSF was not only important locally, it was important nationally. It was one of the best college radio stations in the country, and I think it won awards for that as well. I consider KUSF to be my real college when it comes to music and what I ended up doing. The education that I got there, just being exposed to all kinds of music, is unmatched for me. And then working at Rough Trade as well was an education.
When I was in high school, Rough Trade was down like south of Market.
I did venture there. It was definitely, that was an adventure to walk down 6th Street to Rough Trade. But this was when Rough Trade moved to Haight Street. That's when I worked there. I basically started pivoting, working at Rough Trade and the I-Beam. The final years of the I-Beam.
Wow.
That's when I kind of started my journey into music business, as it were. DJing at KUSF came first, and And then it all sort of was happening all at the same time for a while.
That's when you started doing promotion?
That's when I sort of started doing daytime things that didn't have to do with anything else besides music, which was my goal. I really wanted to be immersed and tried to figure out all the time how I could make that happen. And so I was working part-time at Rough Trade and part-time at the I-Beam and then DJing, and then started DJing clubs as well, but not as much until I really started Dub Mission. Dub Mission was really my education. It's interesting. It's because I really played all kinds of music on KUSF, from punk and post-punk and experimental, and then experimental jazz, and all of that sort of was such a great education, like I said. And eventually I discovered dub. I just fell in love with dub, and I was playing more and more of it on my radio shows, and I started doing KPFA in Berkeley as well as KUSF in San Francisco. So I had a show called Off the Beaten Path on Monday nights on KPFA. And I was playing a lot of dub there, and a woman called in one night and said, "Where can I go to hear this music?" And I couldn't think of a place, because a lot of the reggae nights were focused on dancehall.
That's right.
And, maybe some roots, but not really. And I wanted to do something that was more dub focused. So that's what I did. And I was doing promotion for Elbo Room in San Francisco, because that's sort of what I started doing after I-Beam and Rough Trade, maybe even. I started a music promotion company and was promoting like artists, bands that were putting out their own records, and clubs. And one of the clubs that the clubs that I promoted quite a bit at that time was Elbo Room. In '96, I started that. It was a monthly, so it went very quickly. We went from a monthly to a weekly on Sunday nights.
So when you first started, who were you sharing the night with?
It's interesting because I didn't come at it from a club background. I was not a club kid, and I saw bands when I went out. I wasn't like going to see DJs. So I connected with other people who were collectors and radio DJs. And one of them, Jabil, was like an on-use sound collector. So he played, and there were other people who were radio DJs. But it was a real education for me, putting together a club night and what works and what doesn't, and understanding on the job, basically learning how do you make a successful club night. What does a club DJ look like in terms of how they perform versus a radio DJ?
Interesting.
So I was learning all that while also getting people to DJ there, and people who were interested, really, because this wasn't the kind of music that was lucrative or was making a lot of money. So Vinny was, one of the people who was obviously very interested that I met later on, and Manish was another person who was interested, who was had a radio background too. And then
was he on KUSF as well?
I would like to say it was KUSF, but you would have to ask him to double check. So we did these special nights where we would, devote to King Tubby, to Scientists, to Prince Farai, and we would play a lot of their music. And so to kind of make space in the club world for that kind of music, I think was exceptional. That's not the kind of things that people did.
Right.
And we just learned and added more. And dub had also really informed and come out in terms of how other people produced music. So it coincided with this interest, both as far as reissues go, with old titles that hadn't been available for a long time, and also newer artists that were playing this music, were influenced by it. Thievery Corporation is probably one that's still around, that was like around then, and then a lot of other artists, obviously. So for us, we incorporated all of that into our music and the music that we played. We didn't just play strictly old classic titles. We also played newer artists all the time. So that was important to me. in terms of what we showcased, that being tastemakers without really thinking of it that way, it just came from love basically, but also just feeling like if we have this platform, it's important to put that stuff out and it turned more people onto it. So that was, and then at the same time you learn and become more mindful of the dance floor and what does it look like, and it's a back and forth. It still is for me in terms of like wanting to keep people engaged by also not just giving them everything that they think they want and that's it.
Yeah. How did it end up being that so many great acts found out about Dub Mission? How did they end up at Dub Mission?
I mean, just to circle back a little bit, I think it's important to say that I find myself very fortunate to have been able to work with Vinny and Manish and also Jay Boogie. Justin did a hip hop show on KUSF and he was interested in reggae as well. And Ludacris was another DJ early on that was part of it for a long time. So, they all put in and very much contributed to it. Especially when it went weekly, I was the one who was there every week, but they cycled and they were devoted to it for a long time. So that was important to me. And being able to do it at Elbo Room was also very, very important part of the success of it. The fact that Dennis and later on, the people who took over for Elbo Room, Matt, they encouraged us to continue and do the night was very important. Yeah. Matt and Eric were the people who bought Elbo Room from Dennis. I've done a lot of reggae shows, but I've also done other kinds of DJ nights, and venue can be a huge issue with all of that, and I feel fortunate to have been able to have that space to do what we did. But to get back to your question, the Sundays also included 3-day weekends. Some of the times Mondays would be a holiday, so I started booking acts for those special nights and of course our anniversaries. And so I definitely reached out to people that we were playing, whether they were people in the US and there were people producing dub in the US and then people from overseas, and people that we played, and we just reached out to them, and eventually people find you as well, because how many venues are there? So
right.
So that was kind of how that happened. The nights that I really remember, I remember a lot of them, but like in 1999, we presented The Scientist with the bucket head.
Wow.
And at the Justice League, that's what it was called, and then it became the Independent. And then we also did co-present Blood and Fire at the same place with Trinity and Dillinger and Ranking Joe, and
cool.
And then for me a huge kind of a huge moment was the 5th anniversary when Adrian Sherwood from On You Sound played. That was kind of a circle completing, at least the first time, because he was somebody that I think was the reason that I really became interested in dub initially, and so to have him come and play, and he hadn't played in the United States for a long time. I think it's really important to talk about affordability as a factor with all these things.
Yeah.
Like that's a word now that you hear, but I've thought about this many times over the years, and I've told people straight up, if it wasn't for rent control, there would have been no Dub Mission.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's straight up a truth to me, because I was living in a rent-controlled apartment with 3 other roommates.
Yeah. In the city.
In the city. And first in Lower Haight and then in the Mission, which is kind of where the name came from, Dub Mission. Because I lived all in the Mission for a long time. And if it hadn't been for the low rent, there's just no way I would have been able to do that, or maybe a lot of other things as well. And that's something that I feel like gets missed frequently.
But that's exactly it. What you're saying, everyone has said, you know what? My rent was affordable relatively, compared to what things are now. So people had time to create culture, basically.
That's correct. That's very, very true. And it's something that people should pay more attention to. It doesn't come from nowhere, essentially, and if you're involved in the arts for a long time, that's a question that consistently needs to get resolved. How do I survive and do this?
Yeah, that's
How do I continue to do this?
Yeah.
And in the 90s, the answer was affordability in a big way. And also the fact that the stakes were lower, the fact that, okay, so Elbo Room had a Sunday night available and it didn't hurt them. And also someone who wasn't greedy that way to say, all right, you go ahead and do your thing and let's invest in it for a while. And now it's working. And of course they did that with jazz. They did that with Latin music of all kind, Afrobeat, as you know. And that kind of reverberated was the idea of allowing the arts to investing in the arts in terms of time. And when the first boom happened, that was not good for a lot of music that wasn't mainstream, because people just started to see more dollar signs. And I had instances at other clubs, they just kept thinking, well, I should be making more money than this, or pitting different DJs against each other, different nights against each other. They saw more money and they wanted more of it than ever. That can be sort of detrimental to the arts in a big way, unless there are people who really will support it and defend it in positions of power. And I think for the most part, we didn't have that.
This is true. This is very much true. Doing the radio shows and starting Dub Mission and living in San Francisco and being a part of that culture, what would you say you carry with you from those times, from that inception and those formative years now in your life?
I remember being at Elbo, I think the last night that we were doing our residency, and thinking I should take something, just to have something. And there was a lock on a locker, and I think I may have taken that, but there was just nothing I could really take. It was like, what could it be? And it's funny because the most important thing I already had and have, and that's the memories, It's the most important thing other people have of it. The most valuable thing is people's memories of what you helped create, That's what stays. And so to me, that's really what matters ultimately. And I remember one time walking, like I said, I lived in the Mission, and I was doing my shopping, and this was years before things started to kind of end. And I was sort of complaining to myself about something or other, something's hard, something's whatever, I'm tired, blah, blah, blah. Day-to-day stuff. And then I remember just thinking, these are the Mission years and they're gonna end. So you should enjoy it as much as you can. And so that's kind of was a pivot, like just something that thought, this won't go on forever. And the same with Dub Mission. I used to run up and down the stairs, manage everything, and then I was missing shows. And people would say, wow, that was an amazing show. And I thought, I didn't see it, And so I started telling myself, you need to go upstairs and experience this for a while, if not all of it. If you can't do all of it, then... Because, I had to manage it as well. I had to obviously go downstairs, check on the door person, whatever else was going on.
Yeah.
But just to stop and make some memory of it, because I missed a few really good shows that way, and I was there the whole time. So it was a way of just telling yourself, okay, don't forget that. Don't forget to also experience it. Be present, as people say. So those are, important lessons.
Yeah. Sep, it's been so great to reconnect, and thank you so much for sharing all of these wonderful stories, inspiration. You've been such a institution in San Francisco for so many artists and DJs, and thank you for all you've done on the radio and at Dub Mission and all the other shows that you play and promote. And great to talk to you today.
Same here. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and talk about some good times.
Yes, and there's still this weekend, Sunday,
Exactly.
November, what's the date?
23rd.
Sunday, November 23rd at the Bandshell in Golden Gate Park. And that is with
Irie Dole and with DJ Guidance, and it's the season finale of Crucial Reggae Sundays, which is what we've been doing since March. Every March through almost through all of November, we present reggae music on the Bandshell, which is free and family friendly. People bring their kids.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be good weather, so we
Yay.
hope to see people out there for that. And then we're going to do our holiday party on December 12th, and that's at the Great Northern in San Francisco. And that one is 21 and over at night with Jordan Blackamore, or Blackamore as he goes now, also doing a special sound system set. So
oh, that's going to be so good.
I
Yes.
hope to see people out there and just
Yeah.
keep the music going.
And where is the best place for them to find what you're up to?
Instagram, I am on Facebook, and they can connect to me, all of that through djsep.com. The music is on SoundCloud, and it's also, some of my original productions are on Bandcamp.
Hope to see you soon, maybe on Wednesday the 26th in San Francisco at the Beer Garten in the Mission. Yes, Celebration of Life for DJ Soul Salam, Randall Kress.
Oh yeah, please send me that so I remember when that is and put that in my calendar.
We'll look forward to talking to you and seeing you rocking the decks again very soon.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Talk to you
take care.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to San Francisco 1999. We'll be back next Friday with another episode for you. Subscribe to this podcast so that you get notified. And if you'd like to join the conversation, you can go to sanfran99.com, leave a question, comment, sign up for the newsletter. And hey, before you go, remember this. You are making history. You are part of history. You are part of culture. And so my hopes and my wishes for you are that you find ways to express yourself creatively and engage in the communities and the cultures that you are passionate about, and be a part of making something happen. Until next time, take care and much love.